Hello everybody, my name is Amol Kelkar and I am the creator of Playbooks AI. In the previous video, we looked at how to add Python code within your Playbooks programs. So just a quick recap, here's our Playbooks agent. This is a natural language playbook. Here's another natural language playbook. And here is a Python playbook. Okay, recently MCP has become the de facto standard for how you integrate various tools in your agentic applications. And you can think about this Python playbook as a tool. So today what we're going to do is we're going to see how to actually integrate Python tools like this, Python playbooks like this through MCP servers instead of directly putting them in your playbooks program itself. Okay, so let's get started. We'll create a new folder, 4, and what we'll do is we'll create a new file, and this will be our MCP server. So let's see what we want to call this MCP server. We're going to put this base64 encode function in there. So maybe encoding MCP server. Okay, so what we will use for creating MCP server is a Python package called fastmcp. Import from fastmcp, import fastmcp. Let's call it MCP is fastmcp, give it the name encoding. Yes. And we are going to create our tool, which is exactly this particular function. Let's copy that over. Okay. One thing to note here. We cannot call back into playbooks from an MCP server. So we're going to have to restrict the functionality of this particular MCP tool to returning the base64 encoded string itself and not create a joke. All right, return. Okay, we're going to have to add an import for base64. Okay, and then when we run this MCP server, we are going to say run the MCP server with a streamable HTTP transport. All right, so we have an MCP server here ready. Let's run it. Actually, this mcp.run should go because we're already doing it here. Okay, so let's hop into our terminal and we are in our playbooks demo folder. Let's see where we are at. Okay, we want to go into our folder that we just created, 04, and that's our encoding.py. Let's run it. So Python encoding.py. Okay, there we have it. Our MCP server is running at port 8000/MCP. Now we'll see how to actually start using this MCP server in our playbooks programs. Okay, so to do so, we will first, let's just copy over this code into a new playbooks program. Let's call it hello mcp.pp. Okay, let's call it hello mcp. All right, when the program starts, welcome the user and ask them their name, get a base64 encoded version of the name and tell user the encoded version, end program. We don't need this, make a joke. All right, so here we are going to add the MCP server that we are running as an agent. Let's call this encoding agent. That's good. This is going to be a remote agent and its type is MCP. Its transport is streamable HTTP and URL is actually 8000. Let's make sure that it is actually 8000 that is running at. Yes, that's the URL. Okay, so we have our MCP server now plugged into this program. It's this easy to do, and it will appear now as an agent called encoding. So what we're going to do here is get a base64 encoded version of the name to actually what the suggestion is. Call the encoding agent to get a base64 encoded version of the name. And that's it. Let's give it a shot. Okay, let's create a new terminal. Okay, Playbooks, run hello MCP. As expected, our hello MCP agent is compiled, and welcome, I'm hello MCP. What's your name? Let's stick with Molion. And now it is actually going to call our MCP server and get the base64 encoding. And we can actually see this in the log that there's a post call to MCP, which was done by our agent. There you have it. It's this easy to use an MCP server into your Playbooks program. You can use as many MCP servers as you like, create agent blocks like this, make sure you run them on different ports, right? Now, next, we are actually going to see how to use in-memory MCP servers so that you don't have to actually keep in the developer environment. If you make changes to your MCP server, you're going to have to go here, kill this, and rerun it for those changes to be picked up. Instead, we can actually make this MCP server run in process. And we do that by using memory transport. And I'll show you how. Instead of using the streamable HTTP transport, let's switch it out to memory. And we're not going to need the agent to be running elsewhere on a port. We're just going to say memory : / and give a relative path to the MCP server implementation, which is just encoding.py here in the same folder we are in. There it is. So now you don't have to actually run the MCP server separately. You can directly run the Playbooks program itself. It will create an instance of the MCP server in memory, and we'll get to use it. There you have it. MCP server running in memory. And now the advantage of this is if I make a change in the MCP server implementation, for example, base64 string is this, let's actually change this a little bit, saying b64 : say something to just make sure that we are getting the updated code. Okay, let's run this again. There it is. Our updated MCP server code was used, and the MCP server was created in memory and stopped when the Playbooks program finished. So there you have it. It is that easy to create and use MCP servers with Playbooks. I can't wait to see what you build with Playbooks. Until next time, bye-bye.